If I send email to a bad email address, will someone see it? Hi everyone, Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. You know, we've all done this. We've all probably made a typo in the email address, either the email name or the domain name or something like that. Hit send, and then suddenly realized that, whoops, that wasn't the person to whom we were trying to send that message. Unfortunately, understanding what happens next is absolutely not clear. There is no guarantee. There's really no way to know what happens to that email. For example, you might get a bounce, which is actually the ideal situation, because that way you actually do know that the mail didn't go through or that something else happened. There'll be information in the bounce that you can pay attention to. And while that's relatively common, again, it's not guaranteed. There's no way to absolutely know if you don't get something. For example, in many email systems, depending on the destination, the email that you send to a wrong email address might simply be silently discarded. They just say, nope, I don't know anybody here, and throw it in their digital garbage can. It might have been forwarded to what's called a catch-all account. So what that means is that it is possible for some email domains, like askleo.com, to say, you know, I've got these email addresses, and if it's not one of those email addresses, in other words, for all of the other email addresses on this domain that haven't been specified, forward those to this email address over here. In other words, actually accept any email address on the domain, but send it to one specific recipient. That's really, really rare these days, mostly because of spam. I mean, that account would get so much spam. But there are domains where it is enabled, and for a reason. It's important for whatever they consider their email structure to be. So it is possible then that, yeah, that email you sent to a bad email address on that domain could actually end up getting forwarded to one of these catch-all accounts. Somebody there could in fact read it and they could respond to it or not. Again, you just don't know. They could take a look at the message, say, hey, this wasn't for us, this wasn't for somebody here, and just again, silently delete the message without your realizing it. Again, you would never know, but somebody did in that case read it. The other scenario, of course, is the other one that I think that we also run into from time to time, and that is that the typo that you made might not be the address you intended, but it could still be a valid email address. For example, if somebody sends to leo@askleo.com, well, that's me. But if somebody sends to leon@askleo.com, well, if that was a real email address, it's not. But if that was a real email address, that could be a different person, and that person could get the email that was intended for me. What they do with it? Again, we don't know. There's nothing that's required. So if you don't hear back, they may have read it, they may have discarded it. The only way you'll know for sure that something happened to that email address that you mistakenly sent a message to is if you hear something back, either from the person who got it or a bounce saying that it didn't go to anybody. But if you don't hear anything, you just don't know. It could have been read, it could have been discarded. There's just no way to know. And there's nothing you can do about it. There really isn't. All you can do is resend your email to the right person and hope that the email you sent wasn't super sensitive, didn't go to an important person. Depending on the combination of content and mistaken identity for the recipient, it could be completely benign. It could be something you can safely ignore, or it could be a big disaster depending on your situation. But again, not hearing anything, you just don't know. Hope that helps. For updates, for comments, for related links and more, visit askleo.com/2942. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.